Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Advaita Chandra, Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Ma Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Krishnaya Vitare, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda, Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Uchari, Nirvisesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Vishatari, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadara, Sri Vasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Kankaroti Vachami, Kankaroti Hare Krishna. So, we plan to discuss something about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of initiation from Ishwarapuri. I have not prepared much, so no slokas to display to you, no slokas to recite. So we will have a blend of a little bit about what is given in the scriptures, and then we will also analyze what we can learn from it, what we can carry when we return back, what we can fill in our heart. So that's something we will ponder upon and discuss today. Let me ask something with a question. Why does Arjuna had to accept shelter of Krishna? So many of you, I guess many of you are coming here for quite some weeks and hearing something from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So you could see that Arjuna is taking shelter of Krishna. And the whole Bhagavad Gita, in fact, was actually spoken after Arjuna took shelter of Krishna. It says, Karpanya dosho upahata swabhava prachamitvam dharma sammudate chetaha yas shreyasya nishchitan brujidharme sishyasteham sadhimam prapanna. So, Arjuna is saying that sishyasteham sadhimam prapanna, that you please accept me as a disciple and please instruct me one thing, not too many things, which is the best thing, Shreyaha. Shreyaha means something best, not something anything lesser than that. Right? Yes, Shreyasya Nishchitam. Confirmly it is the best thing. I don't want anything lesser than that. Right? Yes, Shreyasya Nishchitam Bruhitanme Sishyasteham sadimam tvam prapannam. Says that give me something which is, I don't have to think beyond this, something like that, a pinnacle of everything. So he's asking for that. And then Krishna started speaking Bhagavad Gita. That Bhagavad Gita which Krishna spoke only for 45 minutes and Arjuna understood it, and we all are taking lifetime to actually understand it. And even after spending a lifetime, it is quite hard for us to understand. Right? So Arjuna heard it only for 45-50 minutes, that's all. It was a quick conversation in a battlefield. Right? There is no time, fight was about to start. And just in that time, Arjuna's mind was perturbed. He asked Krishna to take the chariot in the midst of both the armies. And then he saw both the sides, everybody were relatives, friends, brothers, people who are of the status of his father, grandfather status, teacher status. Those kinds of people were standing on both the ends, and he was thinking, how can I actually ever fight with these kind of people? They are all respectable. And like in fact, he says, he gives various shastric reasons why I should not fight. And one of the reasons he gave is like, his happiness will be tainted with blood, even if he actually wins the war. Like if he gets something very nice, for example, I'm just giving a story that while you are returning back from this IBC and you found a suitcase, and the suitcase has say 5 crore rupees inside, right? It had 5 crore rupees inside, and nobody claims. It's kind of like it's all yours. If that 5 crore rupees is you get to you are like, you feel so happy. How many of you will see so happy? Say for example, I give you 5 crore rupees. I don't have that, but if I say I give you 5 crore rupees, I gift you, right? And I'm not asking for anything, no obligations, nothing, not even an income tax for all that, right? So you're getting 5 crore rupees. As it is like that, you feel so joyful inside. Oh, I got so much of money. Yes or no? How many of you will be happy? Honestly, raise your hand. Yes, almost everybody, right? You get 5 crore rupees, you'll be so happy, and you will not be able to contain the joy within yourself. You want to go and share that. Oh, okay, I got this much of money. At least you will go share that in your home, saying I got some lottery, right? So Arjuna was actually saying that even if I win this battle, my happiness that I get out of this, that I got the whole Bharatavarsha, my elder brother Yudhishthira is going to get the whole kingdom, and we are going to rule that. That happiness that we are going to get will actually be tainted with the blood of all my brothers' death. My people who are in my father's status, they are all dying. They are all killed. Grandfather Bhishma, Drona, all these people will actually get killed in this war. My happiness actually will be tainted with blood. How can I actually ever go and fight? Right? And he also thinks, saying like, if such elderly people actually get killed, what will happen to next generation of people? Who will actually educate us about the right path? People will get kind of like misdirected without right direction, right guidance. There will be Varna Shankara population he actually speaks about. He is not giving any, what he call like lame reasons. He gives a very shastric reasons. The first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he presents his topics very nicely, not out of sentiment, but out of clear logic, and very nicely he presents himself. And after all these presentations, he was still very confused in his mind. He was not able to give any direction to himself. And then finally he actually accepts shelter of Krishna. Right? So it was not a very hasty decision that Arjuna took, taking shelter of Krishna. In fact, it was a well thought, well carefully. It happened to actually go and take shelter of Krishna, and he took shelter of Krishna. So that kind of is an indication saying that even in our life, many times we will not be able to make a decision on our own. And it will be so confusing because dharma is like that. One side, many of you, I'm just giving an example. For example, all of you are either a daughter or a son of parents. You will have certain kind of a dharma or a duty or a relationship or an obligation to fulfill with your parents, with your brothers, with your sisters. Then you will, after you get married, you will have your in-laws, you will have your husband or wife, you have your children, you have your neighbors, you have your office, you have your colleagues. So many kinds of connection we all have. And you cannot actually just break one person's relationship for other person's relationship. You would like to actually want to maintain relationships in a good terms with everybody, yes or no? And in order to, in the course of actually attempting to do that, you please somebody and you go displease somebody else, although it is not your intention. Something like that actually happens. That's a situation, something like a dharma sammuda. It is like I am not able to make a clear decision. What is the exact decision I need to do here? Which path I need to take? Which is proper? Which is dharmic? I am very confused to actually make a decision out of this situation. So Arjuna was kind of like such a situation. Should I battle this war or should I not? I being a Kshatriya, I have all good reasons to go and battle this war because all these people, they were all adharmic. They have attempted to disrobe Draupadi. They have like stolen away the kingdom in an unlawful manner. They set fire to our house. They are called, as scriptures say that they are atatainas. They deserve to be killed by a Kshatriya. So a Kshatriya should actually go and kill these kind of people. But on the other side, scriptures also saying that even if your brothers and sisters are sinful, you should not actually kill them. Contradictory rules. Right? One side it says go kill them, other side it says don't go kill them. So he was like put in a very big dilemma, whether should I go or not to go. He was not able to make a clear decision. So in that situation, after carefully thinking through all the scriptural education that he has gone through in the entire life, he was still not able to make a decision, and then finally he surrendered to Krishna. And Krishna, he didn't actually speak or instruct Arjuna until then. He was keeping quiet. He was watching. He didn't instruct. He didn't give any instruction to Arjuna. He was watching what his friend is talking about. Because until then he was a friend. Arjuna was a friend. They both are contemporaries and they were all, he was, whatever Arjuna is saying, he was hearing that. But Krishna never gave any instruction to him. Until the moment Arjuna came and said, saying that I surrender to you. Please accept me as your disciple. Because the Prabhupada says in the purport saying that in a friendship dialogue, one person cannot actually go and instruct other person. They will come and kind of like give some suggestions, options, right? But there is no instruction that happens. Instruction means one person takes a superior question, other person takes an inferior question, right? But in a friendship level, that doesn't really happen. So Arjuna had to actually bow down first. He took the one step low, and then he placed Krishna one step upper, higher. And then the whole instruction of Bhagavad Gita actually happened. So what we can learn from here is, like, even in our life, many times we will actually, material nature will push all of us in certain situations that we will not be able to make sure what way I should go forward. It is for sure it will happen to everybody. Especially when we are actually attempting to practice spiritual life, that time we need to actually make some choices, because every choice that we actually make will take us to a different destination. For example, we are all sitting here in Bangalore. If we want to go from Bangalore to Delhi, we all know we have to take towards northern direction. If we take a east or a western direction, we are not going to really go to Delhi in the shortest way. Right? So, but Delhi, you know something about Delhi, you know something, the orientation in which you need to go, you can actually make it somehow. But if somebody comes and asks you, you need to go to Vaikuntha Loka, Goloka Vrindavan, you don't even know which direction you need to go for that. How many of you want to go to spiritual world? at the end of this life. Right? All of them have desire because we all are spirit souls. Having taken this material body, we all of us are suffering here in this material world. And practicing spiritual life in material world is not easy at all because it's very difficult. Even if you have the desire to actually practice, things will not actually fall in a favorable way to practice. We are kept very busy in this material world that we have no time. How many of you have a lot of time to practice spiritual life? Nobody has time. Right? We are all constrained here. As soon as you take your japamala and wanted to chant, so many things will come in our mind at that time. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do this, all this. So many calculations actually happen in our mind at that time. Right? So, it's not easy. Practicing spiritual life in material world is actually not easy. Because material world is designed to disturb us. It is designed to actually disturb. It is here to actually disturb. It is here to actually make sure saying that if at all you want to practice spiritual life, you need to actually show a lot of determination to do that. Just like Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, when he was just 5 years old, he was insulted by his own stepmother. And then he decided, his stepmother said, if at all you want to actually go sit in your father's lap, in next birth you be born as my son, then you will be able to go and sit. He was like, he couldn't tolerate those words. It was like fuming and his heart was burning. He went and go and asked his mother saying, my stepmother said like this. Then the mother said, yes, what she told is true. For that you will have to go pray to Narayana. Only Narayana can help you. So then what your stepmother told is true. You go take shelter of Narayana. Only he can actually help you. Where can I find Narayana? He asked his mother. I have heard from Rishis and Munis saying that he is somewhere in the forest. Rishis and Munis, they go and meditate there in the forest. And you better actually, you will have to find out there only, mostly. Immediately he left his palace and he went to forest. And Narada Muni in the middle, he came there. He said, what? You are a small 5 years old boy. You like to play or not? How old are you? Sorry? 10. You are 10 years old, huh? Is he 10? Or... Okay. Anyway, so it's a small boy. Oh, okay, my son is 5 years old. I can compare him. Yeah, he cannot even speak properly, my son. Right? That's the age. Like they hardly utter some sentences or whatever. Right? Some kids speak nicely also. Right? So that's the age, basically. So in that age, 5 years old, he set off from his kingdom, went to forest. And Narada Muni came there and he said, saying that what? You should be playing with your friends that time. Why you are worried about all this Narayana and all? Why you are taking your stepmother's words so seriously? Just forget all those things and go back. Dhruva Maharaj immediately said, look, if you have something to help me, help me. Otherwise you get lost. I don't even want to talk to you. I have no time to talk to you. I want to actually go meet Narayana. That's my only goal. You have anything to help me, otherwise you get lost from there. Then Narada Muni was shaken looking at the determination of this person, this boy. Then he went and instructed him. He took that instructions very seriously. And within 6 months of his time, he saw the Lord face to face. With that vigor, with that seriousness, determination, Dhruva Maharaj actually practiced. It didn't take long. Like Prabhupada used to quote, there was one devotee on asked, I think many of you might have heard this from Prabhupada. One devotee asked this question to Prabhupada that how many lifetimes does it take for us to go back to Godhead? Prabhupada said, it was like with the very fuming words, he actually spoke and he said, 1 moment. Don't you understand? It takes 1 moment. 1 moment, if you want to really go back to the spiritual world, it takes only 1 moment for you. Just think about Krishna. You will immediately be transferred to the Krishna Loka, he said. That was the conviction even Prabhupada actually had. It doesn't take long. The moment we actually get connected with Krishna, immediately we are in the spiritual world. Swarga apavarga narakeshu apitulyati darshanam. A devotee of the Lord, whether he is in the hellish planet or in the heavenly planet, just by remembering the Lord always, he is in the Vaikuntha Loka. It doesn't matter where he says. The consciousness of the person actually matters, not the external situation. External situation, you don't have control over it. We cannot stop the rain, but we can put an umbrella and safeguard ourselves. That we can do. We don't have control to control the rain, but we can safeguard ourselves from rain. That is possible. So in same way, the more we actually spend time attempting to change this whole world, that's not going to work out, because this world is not in our control. But if we want, we can safeguard ourselves. That is in our control. Right? So Dhruva Maharaj, he was so serious. He took to this practice of Krishna consciousness and he practiced it, and in 6 months he saw the result. Prabhupada quoted the life of Katuvanga Maharaj. He spent whole of his lifetime leading war for the demigods. He fought for the demigods. For so long, many years together, he fought along with demigods and he won so many battles for them. And in the end, demigods actually asked them, what boon do you need? So for that, Katuvanga Maharaj asked, how much of lifetime do I have in my hands still? They said, one moment. Wherever he was, he just simply sat down remembering the Supreme Lord, that's all. He didn't even bother to reply to the demigods. He sat down in the same place, remembered the Supreme Lord. So that's why Prabhupada quoted, it takes one moment. If somebody wants to become Krishna conscious, it doesn't take a lot at all. Just one moment it takes for them to actually practice Krishna consciousness, be Krishna conscious. But just that since we don't want to be Krishna conscious, we are letting ourselves to be disturbed by so many things of this material world. It is just that we are letting ourselves. The more we let ourselves to get disturbed, the more disturbances will actually come in this material world. That's why Krishna gives an example of tortoise in the Bhagavad Gita. As soon as the tortoise sees any problem, any harm in the external environment, it will withdraw its limbs inside. And then when everything is okay, it will actually release itself. So in the same way, Krishna actually says, a yogi or a devotee should know when to engage his senses and when not to engage his senses. Practicing all these things in the material world is not going to be easy. It's definitely not something easy. And that's why Krishna says, even Krishna himself recommends, in the 4th chapter, he actually recommends saying that go and serve a spiritual master. And when that spiritual master reveals the tattva, the truth to you, because he is a tattvadarshi, he has seen the truth. Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Because he is a tattvadarshi, he knows the truth, so he will be able to explain the truth. Just like if you want to go ask a direction to a certain place, if the person knows the direction, he will be able to share the direction. If he doesn't know the direction, he cannot actually share the direction. Only a tattvadarshi, a person who knows the direction of reaching the spiritual world, he can actually give direction to somebody. So in the same way, Krishna says to Arjuna, saying that you don't go and approach a tattvadarshi, a person who knows the spiritual knowledge. Go and approach him. Not just approach him. You go and do service to him, menial service. Go and do menial service to him. Hear from him. Make humble inquiries from him. And then in that way you learn from him. That's the way to learn, he says. Tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pranipat means first you have to go and take shelter of him. And then pariprashna, humble inquiries, not inquiry which is in an arrogant mood, not to think saying that I know better than you. Right? Even if a spiritual master, like in the Acharya Sampradaya, we can actually see There are some spiritual masters who are illiterate. They cannot even read the scriptures. We have certain example like Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. You see in the altar, you see the Acharya Paramparas, right in the bottom. The leftmost is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya of Iskcon. Next to him is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is said to be a great scholar. At the age of 8 or 9, he was so expert in astrology that people named him as Siddhanta Saraswati. He was like so expert, very greatly educated and very expert in explaining the scriptures at the age of 9. He used to give classes at a very young age because his father trained him like that. Bhakti Vinod Thakur was his father. He trained him so expertly. He became so expert that his son will actually point out the mistakes of his father, Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He was so expert. He used to say that you are a family attached person. He used to scold his father like that, right? But that's a different relationship. We should not actually, we should understand the relationship properly. Once what happened in his childhood, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he ate a mango without even offering that to the Supreme Lord. His father scolded him only once, saying that how can you ever eat something without offering to the Supreme Lord? You are an offender. He scolded him, mildly he scolded him. But this Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur took that so seriously that he is an offender. In the rest of his entire life, he did not even eat mangoes. He was so serious. And every time if somebody comes and offers him a mango to honor, he used to actually repent, saying that I am an offender. I offended the Supreme Lord. How can I eat these mangoes? He never ate mangoes after that. Such a serious person. He wanted to actually take shelter of a spiritual master. And his father said, I cannot give you a spiritual initiation. You go and take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. The next person in the altar is Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj is an illiterate. He cannot even read, write scriptures. But he was such a great devotee, he was gem, that everybody knew that what kind of a devotee he was. Though he was illiterate, he understood the essence of the scriptures to the perfection. So he was sent, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur actually was sent to accept spiritual initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and then he went and begged initiation. He said first time he went, he said, no, we will see it later. Second time he actually went, no, we will see it later. Third time he actually went, he said, okay, I will think about it. Then fourth time he actually went, he said, let me ask Mahaprabhu, if he replies, I will come back. So he was like pushing. He was not ready to give initiation to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Because he knows, saying that this person is highly scholarly person. He is more qualified actually. How can I actually go and spiritually impart knowledge onto him? But Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very serious to actually take initiation from him. Then after making attempts so many times, finally Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, no, I cannot give you initiation. Then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was like feeling broken hearted. And he was feeling, what is the use for me to live anymore? He is my spiritual master, is not giving me a shelter. How can I actually go and live here? Who will actually give me direction? How can I actually sustain myself here? He thought he will better commit suicide. There is no use of me living in this body. When he came to that level, then finally Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj accepted him. He accepted him as a disciple, and then he started serving him in a way. Right? So, there's so many nice pastimes. Even Ramanujacharya, his amazing pastimes are there. He was longing to actually for a spiritual master. There's a big story of Ramanujacharya actually. he was longing that who will actually be my spiritual master, from whom I can actually take shelter, who can give me guidance. So he went and actually approached, what's his name? Who was a great devotee, was a illiterate in Varadaraja temple? Huh? Sorry? Yeah, what was other name for it? Tirukachenambi is a Tamil name. Kanchipurna, we call it. So Kanchipurna he said, okay, wait, Varadaraja will give you directions, you wait, kind of like that. But then he was like waiting, until then he was doing some menial service under Kanchipurna's instruction. But then finally he was given direction saying, okay, Yamunacharya will give, you go to Yamunacharya, kind of. And then he was running towards Yamunacharya to take shelter of him, but by the time he went and reached there, Yamunacharya left his body. Then finally, after some time passed, Lord Varadaraja himself said to Kanchipurna, saying that go ask Ramanujacharya to take spiritual initiation from Mahapurna. At the same time, in the Srirangam, Mahapurna was instructed to go give shelter to Ramanujacharya. And both of them were actually coming towards each other. Ramanujacharya was running from Varadaraja temple, and then Mahapurna was coming from Srirangam, and both of them actually met in a nice temple that's called as there's a nice Rama temple, Erikata Rama, they say in Tamil Nadu. So that's a nice temple. So around with that temple they actually met, and then they met each other. And then Mahapurna actually said, oh, okay, we have met each other. Anyway, I'm coming to Varadaraja temple. Let's go there and then I will give you initiation there. But Ramanujacharya said, no. Already I lost the opportunity to take shelter from Yamunacharya by few seconds, few minutes before I could reach. He left the body. I no more wanted to actually wait. So immediately he actually took bath in the temple, immediately he sat and he took spiritual initiation from Mahapurna. So it was like the whole spiritual life, we can actually see so many acharyas, not just acharya, even the Supreme Lord actually descended. Lord Krishna also took spiritual initiation. He took a spiritual master, Sandipani Muni, and he got instruction from him. Right? Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, that was supposed to be the topic for discussion. I spent a lot of time on other things. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Krishna himself. He appeared 500 years before to establish the Kali Yuga Dharma, Krishna Nama Sankirtana. Right? So for that he actually appeared here. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life is amazing. If at all somebody wants to become a nice devotee, they have to actually learn what kind of life that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent here. Because when Krishna came, he came and gave instructions and actually went off. But then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he demonstrated the instructions of the Supreme Lord and how to practice those instructions in his own practical life. Though he is Supreme Lord himself, he came in the mood of a devotee. And he wanted to experience how a devotee feels for him. He wanted to experience that mood. Right? So to experience that mood, the Lord himself came as a devotee. That's why he is called as Channa Avatara, hidden incarnation. He came as a devotee of the Lord and he wanted to actually experience what a devotee feels for him. Because Lord is called as Rasaraj. He wants to experience all the rasas, all the sweetness he wants to actually experience himself. And he being the Supreme Lord, he doesn't know what his subordinates, what his devotees feel for him. Because every time the Lord actually sees, his devotees are actually very blissful always. They are very blissfully serving the Supreme Lord. Looking at the devotees, the Lord becomes very blissful. Looking the Lord becomes blissful, the devotees become even more blissful. And looking at devotees become even more blissful, the Lord becomes even more blissful. So in this way it is said in the scriptures that there is always a transcendental competition between the Lord and his devotees. Right? Both of them actually are experiencing pleasure. That's why in the Sikshashtakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Anandam Buddhir Vardhanam Pratipadam Purna Amrita Swaganam. That in the spiritual life, every step that you actually take, your Ananda actually keeps increasing and increasing. That's what spiritual life is. Material life, the more you spend time here, the more you become miserable and miserable and miserable and miserable. Honestly, if I actually ask you all a question, how many of you will say that your school time was amazing and not the current time? How many of you will feel it? My school times, blissful times. My college times, amazing. Now, horrible. How many of you agree to it? Right? So in material life, the more you actually spend time, the more you will become miserable. You think saying that if by getting money I can gain more happiness. Now let me get married, I'll become more happy. Let me have some children, I will become more happy. The more we think saying that something will give me happiness, the same thing will actually make us more and more miserable here in this material world. Like we may have accumulated a lot of wealth. That same wealth will make us miserable in this material world. The more we have money, the more we will become miserable. We think our children will bring happiness in our life. That same children will actually put us in so much of difficulty. The more we grow older and older and older here, the more time we spend here, the more what we thought, things which will make me happier, that same thing will actually put us in a miserable state. That's what material life is all about. It will put us more and more and more and more miserable here. The more we focus our life in material things, the more miserable we actually become. We think that it will actually make me happy. We think it appears to be happy, but there is never happiness there. For example, like they put a big billboard saying buy this 2 BHK in this property, in this villa, in this apartment, and they actually show you a husband and wife having a blissful smile there. Right? Only in that billboard you will see that smile. Though anybody who goes and buys that property, their life is doomed. Right? They spend 20 years, 30 years just filling that EMI. Gone. Their life is doomed. Buy this car. Go to this place for tour. Maldives, Lakshadweep, whatever nonsense. Any place you go, it's the same old story. Same old story. There is no big change. Even if you go to America, because I remember all my friends, colleagues, they said America is like this, like that, all those things. And I went there, I didn't find anything. There's nothing pleasant. Of course, things are a little bit cleaner and all those things. That's all. But it's the same thing. People are same miserable. There are only same road, same house, same grass, same tree. There's nothing there. I didn't find any excitement there, so to say. Right? I don't know why people run behind that. I only felt that it's the same miserable material world there also. People are unhappy there also. They are all running behind money there also. There's nothing great there. Any place you go within this material world, you will find the same thing. The only place where you can take shelter of is the shelter of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. That's what I felt. I felt this is the greatest shelter that Srila Prabhupada has actually given us. Nowhere else we can actually be happily be, peacefully be. The place wherever the Nama Sankirtan, the holy name of the Lord, is being sung, that's the place which is freed from envy, jealous, anger and all those places. When you come here, clap your hands and sing the name of the Supreme Lord, you just don't think anything else. You just simply chant the holy name of the Lord. You cannot even chant any other name like this repeatedly. Like, devotees, they have Akanda Nama. They keep chanting the holy name of the Lord for 24 hours, 48 hours, 64 hours, like that. And they don't get tired. Even if they get tired, they take little prasadam, they may take little rest, but they come and continue chanting the holy name of the Lord. It keeps going. Same thing you cannot do in the material world like this. You cannot do material things like that. Only when things are connected with Krishna, that you can actually do. Hours and hours and hours and hours together, you can actually do it. But material things, you cannot do it. Prabhupada actually, I remember Prabhupada was saying in one of his lectures, he said, how long can you actually keep chanting Mr. John, Mr. John, Mr. John, Mr. John? But we keep chanting the name of Krishna always. We keep chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we keep chanting the holy name of the Lord all the time. And still we don't feel the tiredness. Prabhupada quoted this. Because that name has the potency. It has the potency. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. This Harinama Sankirtana is not something like anything of this material world. Golokera Premadana. The spiritual world's potency, the holy name, the spiritual world's potency has come here in this material world just to bestow mercy upon us. Right? So in the same way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was a great scholar in his younghood, in his youthful life. He was such a great scholar that once there was a great Pandit who came there called as Keshava Kashmiri. He entered, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born in a place called as Navadvip, Nadia district in West Bengal. So this Keshava Kashmiri actually came to this Nadia district. As soon as people heard saying that this Keshava Kashmiri has come, all the scholars fled from that place because they don't want to actually face him. His job is like he will actually call people for debate and he will smash them left and right with arguments and logic, and nobody could stand against him. So they all fled, even all the Vaishnavas fled from that place. They don't want to actually waste time debating Tarka with him. So they all left the place. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the only person there. He was just walking there by, and then Keshava Kashmiri happened to come, and then he both introduced yourself, and then they in the bank of Ganges immediately they started a debate there itself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, okay, can you compose a song compose few verses glorifying Ganga? So immediately Keshava Kashmiri actually was like flowing, because Keshava Kashmiri was blessed by Mother Saraswati. And he was like flowing verses, verse after verse was flowing. Just so rapidly he was speaking all those verses that it is very hard for anybody to pick up or understand. After he finished everything, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, saying that in this particular verse that you said, in this particular line, there is this mistake there. He got stunned. Because he spoke at such a great speed and the length that nobody can actually even pick, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picked it, this particular verse, this particular line, you made this grammatical mistake. He was like stunned, he couldn't actually understand to whom he is talking. Then that same night, Keshava Kashmiri was, Saraswati Devi came in a dream and she said, saying that the person who defeated you is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So don't feel so worried that you are defeated by the Supreme Lord himself. So that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was such a great scholar in his youthful time that he used to playfully pull the Vaishnavas in Navadvip Dham. He used to playfully pull them for a debate, and those Vaishnavas they know, saying that he is such a great person, and they didn't want to unnecessarily in a debate with him. They accepted defeat in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They used to walk off from him. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still used to actually pull them forcefully, and he used to have a debate with them and then harass them like that. So Vaishnavas were kind of afraid of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that time to some extent. He was the Supreme Lord and they all were his devotees, and they were afraid of him, kind of. That person, after his father's death, in the pretext of to do the Shraddha for his father, along with all his students, because at the very young age he started a Sanskrit school and Sanskrit grammar he used to teach. So he had a lot of students for him. With all of them he actually went to Gaya. And in Gaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually, he went to different other places also. These all are actually given in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So if you are interested, you can go and check that. So he went to actually, so he went to Gaya, and then there he actually took a bath in Brahmakund. And then after taking bath in Brahmakund, in Gaya, the most famous place of worship is Vishnupada. There is a Vishnu's Pada there, beauty imprint of the Lord. The same Vishnupada which was kept on the head of Bali Maharaj as Vamana Dev, and then which Lord Shiva himself actually worships in Gaya. Right? So that great Vishnupada, just like there is detailed description of this Vishnupada in Chaitanya Bhagavat also. So this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually went there, he took darshan of the Vishnupada. He was like earlier, just before, he was a scholarly person wanting to debate with people, show his greatness. He was such a kind of a person. The moment he actually saw the Vishnupada of the Supreme Lord, he lost himself, kind of. His voice got choked up, tears were coming from his eyes, his hair stood on his head, he couldn't speak any further. It's like he was getting into complete ecstasy and he was losing himself. He was like simply chanting the name of Krishna. And he was like, he was going mad just by seeing the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. He was like, he lost himself. He was not in control of himself. So in that position, his spiritual master actually came to the same spot. His spiritual master's name is Ishwara Puri. He is another great disciple of Madhavendra Puri. The way Madhavendra Puri is such a great person where for Madhavendra Puri, the Lord himself actually stole a pot of kheer and he kept it behind. Because in Orissa there is a place called as Barampur. It's not Barampur, sorry. Baleshwar, Remuna. So in that Remuna there is a Gopinath temple. So in that Gopinath temple, they used to make a special kheer for Gopinath and they used to offer that kheer to the Supreme Lord. And Madhavendra Puri happened to come to that temple and then take darshan of Gopinath there. And some thought quickly flashed upon him saying that they speak so great about this kheer that is being offered to Gopinath here. If I could actually taste that kheer, I can make an attempt to offer a similar kind of kheer to Gopal in Vrindavan, because he was worshipping Gopal in Vrindavan. And he thought saying that if I could taste that, I can offer make the same kheer and offer it to Gopal. With that intention, he thought, if I taste it, kind of. But then he immediately came back to his senses, thinking that how can I ever even think of tasting a kheer which was kept for offering to Gopinath. It was kept for offering to Gopinath, for Gopinath to actually honor it. How can I ever think of actually even tasting it? So immediately he left the Gopinath temple and then walked off. But that night, Gopinath hid a pot of kheer behind himself, which was not seen by any pujari also. They cleaned the whole temple and then they closed the temple in the night. The pujari also went off. In the dreams of the pujari, the Lord came and he said, saying that, I have hidden a pot of kheer behind my dhoti in the back side. Take that pot of kheer and then go give it to Madhavendra Puri. The pujari came over, you were like stunned, what kind of dream I actually got. He came to the temple, he opened the altar in the middle of the night and he saw that the Lord has hidden a pot of kheer behind him. He was stunned completely. He doesn't know what to do. He took that pot of care and he was running in the marketplaces. Who is Madhavendra Puri? Who is Madhavendra Puri? Who is Madhavendra Puri? And then he finally found Madhavendra Puri, gave the pot to him, and he said, saying that the Lord himself stole the kheer. Henceforth, he is actually named as Kheer Chor Gopinath. Gopinath became Kheer Chor Gopinath. Gopinath who stole kheer for his devotee. Right? That Madhavendra Puri, for him, whom the Lord himself stole the kheer, that Madhavendra Puri continued to stay in Ramuna, and then he did amazing service for Gopinath after that. Gopal himself instructed him to stay there. So in his entire life, he stayed there in Ramuna and he served Gopinath. And in his last days, this Ishwara Puri, his disciple, he had two disciples, and out of one of them is Ishwara Puri. He served Madhavendra Puri so intensely that if somebody wants to know how a spiritual master needs to be served, that we have to actually learn from Ishwara Puri how to serve spiritual master. It was a great example. So that Ishwara Puri served Madhavendra Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to take shelter of Ishwara Puri. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Gaya and he was like in a complete ecstasy, and then Ishwara Puri actually happened to come there. Then Ishwara Puri touched the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back to his external senses. Then they both hugged each other. They both had some wonderful conversation there, and then they departed back. But then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying, both of them were still staying in Gaya. Then it so happened that Ishwara Puri came back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's residence. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cooking at that time. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then they had some beautiful exchanges there. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fed Ishwara Puri with prasadam, and then in the end of it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged initiation from Ishwara Puri. Then Ishwara Puri gave spiritual initiation to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even the Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he descended down, he also accepted spiritual initiation. He also accepted a spiritual master. Right? Our scriptures actually saying that spiritual life begins when we take shelter of a spiritual master. Ado Guru Ashraya. Ado means first. Spiritual life actually starts when we actually take shelter of a spiritual master. Ado Guru Ashraya. Krishna Sikshadi Dikshanam. Sorry, Krishna Dikshadi Sikshanam. So take shelter, take spiritual initiation, and then Siksha actually comes, education comes. That's how things actually start. It begins with taking shelter of the spiritual master. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took shelter of Ishwara Puri. He was such a great devotee. He took initiation from Ishwara Puri. And later on also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recollects, there's a nice pastime that actually happened in Kashi. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually went to Kashi, he had to actually speak with so many sannyasis there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took sannyas, and then he happened to be in the assembly of sannyasis, and they were all ranked higher sannyasis, kind of like there are ranks in sannyasis also. So they were higher sannyasis, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like lower status of sannyas, So in that assembly, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, he actually slowly, in a humble way, went and sat in a place almost next to the drainage. He went and sat there. And the whole assembly was there to actually talk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So then all those sannyasis, they felt, okay, you should not be actually sitting there. You please come here, friend, sit with us. And then they started asking some questions like, why are you actually chanting and dancing the holy name of the Lord in the streets? We are supposed to be reading Vedanta Sutra. We sannyasis, we are supposed to be reading Vedanta Sutra. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave an amazing reply saying that though he was the Supreme Lord, he is so highly qualified in the scriptures. He was himself personally teaching Sanskrit to so many people. He was such an exemplary person in scriptural knowledge, he still took a very low, humble position, and he said, saying that my spiritual master saw me as a fool number one. He didn't see any qualification in me to read scriptures. So he asked me to simply chant this holy name of the Lord. And I don't know what really happens. The moment I start chanting this holy name of the Lord, I completely lose myself. And I dance like a madman. So you all are great sannyasis. You please excuse me for this misbehavior. I'm like a mad person. The moment I start chanting of the holy name of the Lord, I lose myself. So he presented himself in a so humble way that his humbleness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's humbleness, captivated all the sannyasis who were sitting there also. And all those sannyasis, they were internally wanted to fall at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, looking at his bodily beauty, looking at his, the understanding of the scriptures, his bliss, and then his tejas that is actually coming from him. Because looking at all these things, they all wanted to take shelter of him. But externally they stopped themselves. But internally they all took shelter of him already. So that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he presented himself saying that my spiritual master saw me as a fool number one. And he only asked me to chant this holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, since then, after his initiation, he was simply chanting the holy name of the Lord. Wherever he went, whichever place he went, he was simply propagating this holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that's how all this Nama Sankirtana actually started, with the blessings of his spiritual master. The spiritual master actually asked him to keep chanting the holy name of the Lord. And the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the moment he started chanting the holy name of the Lord, he used to enter into complete bliss. He doesn't know what he is actually doing. And he had that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like he came and demonstrated that when somebody takes the holy name of the Lord, takes shelter of the holy name of the Lord, Krishna actually is present there. Krishna becomes present there. Krishna manifests there. Right? And simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, everything will actually have fallen in place for a devotee's life. He came and actually personally demonstrated the life of a devotee. How a devotee need not have to worry anything. And what kind of mood a devotee should have. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never was in a mood saying that I am seeing Krishna all the time. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in a mood saying that, oh, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I am such a fool that I don't have even one drop of devotion in me. Because of that, I'm not able to actually, even though I am actually chanting the holy name of Lord, I am not able to actually see Krishna. Where is that Krishna? Where is Krishna? That was his mood. His mood was so different. He came and actually demonstrated how bhakti should be performed. Right? So that's why Srila Prabhupada actually recommended Chaitanya Charitamrita for all the devotees. Devotees should actually read Chaitanya Charitamrita. But to read Chaitanya Charitamrita, one should actually understand Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and then if you come to Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will enjoy the bliss in it. How Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually interacted with devotees. That's something very important. Right? It is not that our movement is not something like my relation, myself and Krishna. No, it is not like that. When we want Krishna, Krishna means everything comes along with him. You cannot separate anything from Krishna. Krishna means Krishna's all paraphernalia also comes there. Krishna's all devotees also comes in there. Krishna's all energy also comes in there. Everything comes along with Krishna. If you want Krishna, you have to accept everything. It's a package. You cannot think saying that Krishna is mine. Krishna is actually all devotees' property. And if you happen to even offend a devotee of the Supreme Lord, you will never get Krishna. Krishna takes that very seriously. That we can actually hear in Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. Dhruva Maharaj actually offended Ambarish Maharaj and he had to face a tough time. Sudarshana was chasing him behind. And then finally when Durvasa Muni fell at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj, then only he got relief. He went to Shiva Loka to take shelter of Shiva. Shiva could not help him. He even went to Vishnu Loka to take shelter of Vishnu. Vishnu said, saying that, oh, I am not in control of myself. See, look at this Sudarshana Chakra. I didn't even order him. He himself actually left me and went chasing you. I am not in control here at all. So if at all you want to take shelter, go take shelter of Ambarish Maharaj. He only can actually save you. So if Krishna's devotees gets offended, Krishna doesn't tolerate that. He never tolerates it. Right? So when we speak of Krishna, you cannot separate Krishna's devotees. In fact, Krishna actually himself saying that somebody who claims themselves to be my devotee, they are not my devotee. Right? Somebody who claims saying that I am Krishna's devotee, Krishna says they are not my devotee. If somebody claims saying that I am a devotee of Krishna, then I accept them as my devotee. That's the mood even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took. Gopir Bartu Padakamalayo Dasa Dasa Anu Dasa. He presented himself like that. That I am a Dasa of somebody who is actually attempting to serve the gopis who are actually serving the Supreme Lord. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't say, I want to go and serve the Supreme Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I want to actually assist those who are assisting the gopis who are actually serving the Supreme Lord. Because there is no better devotee than the gopis who can actually perfectly serve the Supreme Lord. There's one nice pastime that actually happened even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Gaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he got a fever when he actually got, when he was going to Gaya. So that time all his disciples, students, they were all actually were making all different medicinal arrangements to get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fever to be relieved. But with all those medicines also, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fever was not getting relieved. But then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, saying that if you could get me the water that has washed the feet of a Brahmana, then my headache will be relieved. And they brought it soon enough. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fever got relieved completely. And scriptures very nicely actually presents at that time saying that a Brahmana means who is a Brahmana. And this whole pastime talks about what kind of a Brahmana. A Brahmana is not by birth. Just because we are born in a Brahmana family doesn't make us a Brahmana. Right? Just like Prabhupada used to say, like a lawyer's son is not a lawyer. He still has to actually get through all his law education and then he actually becomes a lawyer. Right? Prabhupada quotes saying the scripture saying that Janmana Jayate Shudra. By birth everybody is a Shudra. Samskara Bhaved Vija. By proper samskara. But then by taking spiritual master, spiritual initiation, a person becomes Dvija. Veda Pata Rata Vipra. By studying all the scriptures, he becomes a learned person, Vipra. Brahmajana iti Brahmana. A Brahmana means he has to know who the Supreme Lord is. If a person does not know who the Supreme Lord is and he claims himself to be a Brahmana, he is only Brahmana in external. Externally he can claim himself a Brahmana, but by scriptures he is not recognized as a Brahmana. Just like in today's so-called Hinduism is there, right? What we have is just like a skeleton. The frame is alone there, but the guna is not there. All the qualities, all the main essence of the Vedic the Sanatana Dharma is kind of lost. Only the framework is actually there as so-called Hinduism. Anyway, that's a different topic. I don't want to talk about that now. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's his fever got relieved simply by drinking the water of Brahmana. And the scriptures actually talk in that Chaitanya Bhagavat talks very nicely about what kind of Brahmana, who is a Brahmana, what kind of Brahmana should be recognized, how Brahmana should be treated, why Brahmana should not be offended, why we should not be harsh with Brahmanas. All those things are actually given there. Elsewhere in Bhagavatam also, Bhagavatam says very clearly, saying that if somebody wants to actually please the Supreme Lord, they have to actually feed Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Elsewhere in Bhagavatam it is also said, saying that if Vaishnavas and Brahmanas are not brought into the house and fed them with nice prasadam, and if the glorification of the Supreme Lord is not happening in that house, that particular house is considered to be a residential place for venomous snakes. Nice, no? If we don't invite Vaishnavas, don't invite the devotees of the Supreme Lord, and don't feed them with nice prasadam of the Vishnu prasadam, and don't have the Harinama Sankirtana at home, don't have Bhagavata Parayana at home, that house is a place of venomous serpents. I am not saying this, Bhagavatam is saying this. Right? So every house, that's why it is supposed to be a ashrama, Grihastha ashrama. It is an ashrama where Vishnu Aradhana actually happens. A ashrama is a place where Vishnu Aradhana has to happen. That's why it is called as ashrama. And in that place, Vaishnavas should be actually brought in. And by feeding prasadam to Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, whatever prasadam that goes in the mouth of a Vaishnava, that is equivalent to going in the mouth of the Supreme Lord Himself. By feeding and satisfying Vaishnavas, the Supreme Lord actually becomes pleased. That's what Bhagavatam actually says. So that is the kind of a respect that we need to have for devotees of the Lord. We should treat and then we should behave with the Vaishnavas, with the devotees of the Lord in a very humble way, and we should never actually irritate them or offend them. We should actually be, it is good to be, get defeated in the hands of a devotee. By defeating, we become a winner in the heart of Krishna. Sometimes they say, right, by losing we win. Right? By losing in front of a devotee, we win the heart of the Supreme Lord. And by winning in front of a devotee, we become a loser. That's why it is very important that our whole culture actually teaches us that how we need to be humble in front of Vaishnavas, in front of Brahmanas. And Bhagavatam gives a nice example of a mango. How a mango, this is like mango season, if you go see a mango tree, the mango tree actually, the flowers of the mango comes in the upper branches, right? And then those flowers actually slowly become mangoes, raw mangoes. And then the mango actually becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, then it slowly starts ripening. By the time the mango actually nicely ripens, the branch which was in the top of the tree, it slowly bends down and comes almost to the ground. So Bhagavatam compares that, saying that the more a devotee becomes matured, the more he actually becomes humble and goes down to earth. And he wants to actually serve everybody. Not that he accepts service. Just like when we go to a restaurant, even the restaurant, they say, please give us your order. They say, order. You give your order, we will execute it. As if like you are the boss and the the chef or the server, they are like serving you. And we order, command. Right? That's not the way we actually deal with Vaishnavas. With Vaishnavas, actually, we should be going and serving them. There should be a competition to actually serve devotees. Right? That is what Vaikuntha environment means. Vaikuntha environment means everybody wants to actually come and serve others. And managers will have a tough time to actually say, Prabhu, Mataji, you got an opportunity to serve all the Vaishnavas last time. You please actually allow them to serve now. That is what real management means. Management really means saying that everybody is keen to actually do service, and then managers have to literally stop them. Please, now you please hold on to yourself, let somebody else get the opportunity. That is what Vaikuntha environment means. Really to speak. If you are not in that position, it only means saying that our conditioning is so hard that we still think saying that I am master and others need to serve me. That mentality is actually keeping us in this material world. We are in material world suffering because we are still thinking that I am master and everybody has to serve me. Krishna says that apareyam itaskveanyam prakritim viddime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayetam dharayate jagat. Jivas, when the jiva comes into this material world, they want to actually control others. They want to actually control others. Everybody wants to have control of others. You can see in the home also, husband wants to have control over wife wants to have control over husband, both of them wants to have control over children, and children want to have control over parents. Everybody is trying to dominate others. There is a competition to dominate. And Prabhupada says it is something like when you pick some 10-15 pebbles, throw it in the water. Each of those pebbles, when they go hit the water, it will start creating waves, ripples. And all those pebbles, when they fall in the water, they will all form ripples, and the ripples actually collide. When the ripples collide, what happens? Clash. Fight. That's what happens in the material world, in a family. Because everybody wants to dominate, want to take control, and then there is fight. Material world actually means that. Every jiva is trying to dominate in this control. And because of that controlling nature, they are whipped by Maya nicely. Maya is beating everybody, saying that you want to control, take this whip. Fatal, she will give. Fatak, she actually throws nice beating on us. But even after getting all those beatings, we don't come to realization saying that Krishna is the supreme controller. He is the only supreme controller. We don't even have control over this body. How many of you have control over this body? How many of your body is actually doing exactly as what you want it to be? You cannot even control your urine and motion. Forget about others. Right? If you don't pass motion for one day, your mouth will smell so horrible. How many of you have experienced this? You fast for one day. Devotees, we all fast. We fast only 4 days in a year. Right? We fast. That too, there are some optional things. There's Gaur Purnima, which finished off recently. We fast from early morning till moonrise. Then there is Narsimha Chaturdasi, which is going to come now. We fast till the sunset for that. There is an optional Nirjala Ekadashi, in which on that particular Ekadashi, all the devotees fast even from water. And then there is Janmashtami. So on Janmashtami day, until 12 p.m. in the night, we fast. Or 12 a.m. in the night, kind of. So those are the only 4 days strictly to say we fast. Other days on Ekadashi also devotees have feast. In fact, they have nice variety stuff. Just that we have restrictions. We don't eat these things. Rest all we can eat. So we feast, kind of like that. Right? So only 4 days in a year we actually fast. So that day, if you actually Nirjala Ekadashi, for example, if you are fasting from water, the next day morning you can actually feel yourself a lot of bad smell that actually comes out from your mouth. How many of you have experienced this? Right? Even your own body is not in your control, but we are attempting to control others. Your own mind is not in your control. How many of you get angry very easily? Come on, don't feel shy. Anger means you are letting your mind control you. That's what anger means. You lost control of yourself and you are letting your mind come and sit over you, and then mind is speaking. Right? That's why a spiritually advanced person, when he comes and actually sees all these people in this conditioned world, he will actually look, wow, what a kind of people they are all. They are all suffering here. Look how mind is actually controlling them. They are not in control of themselves here. They are controlled by this body. This body is demanding what you should do whole day. Give me food 3 hours a day. Once in 3 hours, give me food. Once in some time, give me water. You have to pass urine. You have to pass stool. You are very busy doing this whole day. You have to cook for that. You have to go work for that. All this you are doing only for keeping this body. Body is taken your agenda fully. First thing, your body is taking all of your time. Next thing, your family members, they will also demand something. It will take your time. Even then you get some free time, your mind will take some time. Even then you get some free time, your smartphone will take that time. And finally you end up having no time for chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is why you are remaining in material world. We have to remain in this material world, birth after birth after birth after birth after birth after again here. Suffer, suffer, suffer. Get beatings nicely from Maya. Fat, 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 she gives us beatings. But still we get, we say that, but still we keep doing the same thing. Right? That's why we are here in this material world, life after life. Because we don't really understand here saying that our main job here is to actually become a devotee of Krishna. We are all here to actually become a devotee of Krishna. The moment we become a devotee of Krishna, we accept shelter of a spiritual master, serve the spiritual master, and by their mercy understand who Krishna is, and then eventually make the way to actually go back home, back to Godhead, and then serve the Supreme Lord there without any kind of interruptions. That's our real goal, our purpose for living here. But now material things and this body and all those things are actually making you forget the real purpose itself, and then we keep running behind for nothing. Where we are going, I don't know, I just have to run fast. We just run, and where we are going, we don't know. Where we will go after death, don't know. Why you are running so fast, I don't know, I want money. What you will do with that money, I don't know. I want to get an insurance to keep myself here, get a life insurance. You don't have even your control of the life. What is this life insurance going to do for you? I want to buy property, I want to buy this car, I want to go to US, this, that, or so many aspirations, and we forgot the essence. The essence is that we are spirit souls. We are spiritual by nature. Our real home is spiritual world. Forgetting that we are suffering in this material world. Prabhupada gives the example of a fish out of water. Right? A fish which is brought out of water, you give Coca-Cola, you give pizza, burger, these, that, all these things you give, fish will never be happy. Prabhupada Bhagavatam says it very clearly, no material things can actually make us happy and satisfied. Nothing can actually make us happy and satisfied. Only by serving the Supreme Lord we can actually be satisfied. Nothing else can make us happy. So if we understand all these things and serve the Supreme Lord, make the Lord to actually give us some directions, because when Krishna becomes pleased, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we get a spiritual master in life. By mercy of the spiritual master, we understand who the Supreme Lord is. That's why we need to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. I still remember the day when I took spiritual initiation from His Holiness Kaggadaspura. It was like that day morning. It was like one devotee actually came to me. He's a very nice devotee. I was like little tense whether my spiritual master will accept me or not. And then that devotee came and said, okay, go cry in front of Jagannath. He said that. If Jagannath is merciful, then your spiritual master will accept you. So I still remember like that day. It's like that day I was like when we were morning Darshanarthi was going on, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More. I was like really meditating on that song. It was like the song asking for the mercy of the Lord. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More, Toma Bina He Dayalu Jagata Samsari. That if you are not merciful to me, then who will actually give me shelter? That's the song is all about. What's the next line? Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Musama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara. So Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara. The Supreme Lord, He has actually appeared to deliver fallen people. Patita means fallen. Patita Pavana. Pavana means delivering the fallen people. Narottam Das Thakur has actually written this song. Narottam Das Thakur, right? Yeah, Narottam Das Thakur. So Narottam Das Thakur actually wrote this song and then he said something like Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara. This Avatara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Avatara is to actually deliver fallen people. And Narottam Das Thakur actually feels himself saying, Mosama Patita Prabhu Napa Ibe Ara. He is presenting himself to the Supreme Lord saying that, O Lord, you have come here to save fallen people and you will not find a more fallen person than me. So my deliver is first. He is presenting himself saying that I am supposed to be climbed by you first because you will not find a more fallen person than me. That's how Narottam Das Thakur was actually presenting himself. So it's a song when we meditate on this meaning of that song, a person will not actually stop crying because it was so intense meaning that song is. So that devotee actually came and said, saying that go take shelter of Jagannath. If Jagannath is actually merciful to you, your spiritual master will accept you. Very coolly he actually said that and went. So I remember that day I was like profusely crying in front of Jagannath. So will my spiritual master accept me or not? Like crying in front of the Lord. I still remember those days. So then when those days like many of you are taking spiritual initiation, these days like some devotee actually assists the spiritual master in in the process of initiation. But like those days it was not so many devotees were there. Spiritual master himself used to conduct the interviews. So they used to personally conduct the interviews. I was sitting in front of my spiritual master blank. I don't know what to answer him. I used to ask questions and we used to actually see what is the qualification of a disciple. Because that's how it is. Spiritual initiation means the relationship between a disciple and a spiritual master is a very serious business. A spiritual master also sees if the disciple is serious to actually take spiritual initiation. And the disciple also needs to actually see if the spiritual master is qualified to deliver me or not. Both of them actually test each other. Right? So spiritual master sees if the disciple is serious or not. So I was sitting in front of my spiritual master and then he was like seeing my papers. But in that moment my brother came in. My brother is also initiated devotee of my spiritual master. So he came in, he was speaking to a spiritual master, introduced me, and my Guru Maharaj did not ask any question to me. So pass. By mercy of devotees, we pass like that. So that's how it happens. By mercy of devotees, when Vaishnavas become pleased, Krishna becomes pleased. When Krishna becomes pleased, Krishna sends us a spiritual master in life. And then when spiritual master comes, we have to go humbly serve the spiritual masters, all the Vaishnavas. So by serving the spiritual master, by serving the Vaishnavas, it is said, our scriptures say that all the scriptural knowledge will automatically come to us. What is that sloka which talks about it? Forgetting. There's a nice sloka which actually Prabhupada used to quote this sloka, and he used to saying that simply by being a faithful, sincere disciple and serving the spiritual master, all the scriptural knowledge will automatically be imparted to the disciple. Whatever all the essence of the spiritual knowledge, whatever is needed, will automatically be imparted to the disciple. So in that way, if somebody takes to the instructions of the spiritual master and serves the spiritual master nicely, serves all the Vaishnavas nicely, by pleasing the Vaishnavas, by pleasing the devotees of the Supreme Lord, automatically one's advancement in Krishna consciousness actually happens there. That is the secret. The secret of advancing in spiritual life is by serving the spiritual master, serving the Vaishnavas. By doing that, we advance in Krishna consciousness very nicely. And one day we become eligible, or we are, whatever lacks, gaps that we have, the Lord Himself fulfills that, and He will actually accept us. And when the Lord accepts us, nothing else is actually needed. Right? So I still remember many proper disciples. One proper disciple called as Mahatma Prabhu. He wrote a nice article where one devotee is kind of like entering the spiritual world, and he was entering the spiritual world, and he saw many other devotees whom he know. They were all actually there, and he was while entering, he was actually thinking, saying that how can this devotee actually came to the spiritual world? He had so many bad qualities with him, and this devotee, how did he come? How did he come? How did she come? He was actually thinking like this. And they were all actually seeing from there to here, how did he come? Right? So in this way, we all will actually have lot of gaps. Prabhupada said like, you make your sincere attempt to become 10% devotee, 20% devotee, 30%, 50%, 70%. The rest of it, the Lord will fill it and accept you. That's His mercy. By the mercy of the Lord, we get accepted. So it is not that by our effort, because of my chanting of the holy name of the Lord, my reading of the Vedic scriptures, Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, I become eligible to go back to spiritual world. No. It is simply by mercy of the devotees, mercy of the Supreme Lord, we are accepted by the Lord. If Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur always used to say, Krishna willing, this happens, kind of. If the Lord wishes, then this may happen. So in the same way, if the Lord wishes, I may be accepted. Who knows? Right? If the Lord, even if we are a rogue number one, a sinner number one, if Krishna accepts, then we may be accepted. For example, if like, Prabhupada used to give an example, like if the Prime Minister or a President of the country, he actually picks somebody out of his own choice, he picks somebody. Nobody can actually question him. Because he was picked by the President, nobody can actually question him about his qualification for that. In the same way, if Krishna actually mercifully accepts us, whether we are qualified or unqualified, we become eligible automatically. But if we think saying that because of my sadhana, by my practice, I can become qualified, then we will never become qualified actually. Only by mercy of the Supreme Lord, mercy of Vaishnavas, mercy of the devotees, by serving them, by pleasing them, Krishna may accept us. Right? It's up to Krishna. So whether we go back home or back to God, it's up to Krishna. But what I have in my control is, I can attempt to actually practice my sadhana nicely, I can attempt to serve the devotees nicely, I can attempt to please the spiritual master nicely, I can be a humble, nice servant to all the Vaishnavas and serve them nicely. End of the day, it is actually up to Krishna whether he wants to accept me or not. But what I have in my hand is, I can do this. I can serve all the devotees, I can chant the holy name of the Lord, I can follow the instructions what Srila Prabhupada has given to us, but end of the day it is up to the Supreme Lord whether He wants to accept me or not. Whether He accepts me or not, whatever He wants to do, it is up to Him. It is free. He is free fully to accept me or not accept me. Whether He accepts me or not accepts me, I will continue to do devotional service for Him. That is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Whether you are accepted or not accepted, I will keep serving you all the time. Whatever you want, you do. It's up to you. You are Supreme Lord. I cannot instruct you. You do whatever you want to do, but what I want to do is, I want to actually be a humble servant. I want to associate with devotees. I want to serve devotees. I want to actually practice this Krishna consciousness, devotional service nicely. So that I will not fail to do. Whatever happens in this material world, whatever karma I may have, it can at the max affect my body alone, but not me. I am a spirit soul. I have my choices. I have my free will. I will use my choices. I will use my free will to continue doing devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Whether I have favorable situation, unfavorable situation, I am living in the midst of the enemies or living in the midst of favorable people. In any case, whatever it may be, rains or sun or snow or chill or hot or whatever, I will keep continuing to do my devotional service to the best of my capacity. The rest is up to the Lord for Him to actually accept me or not. Right? So that is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we can learn some nice lessons out of it and put that in practice in our life. And whatever situation you all of us are put in, we all of us are put in, let's continue doing devotional service of Supreme Lord. Wherever we are, whatever place we may be, horrible or best or whatever it may be. Right? Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions, comment? I think I took a lot of time.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful class. So, any audience have a question? Actually, what is related to our work? Raise your hand, please.